Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've talked to chicken producers and they're telling me that natural gas is one of their biggest costs. And now because of the carbon tax starting in January, and that when the tax is fully implemented, the cost for natural gas to heat their barns in the winter will almost double. To the Minister, does this government expect Albertans to pay more for chicken, turkey and eggs, or do they just expect producers to have to eat this huge loss?
Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for the member for the important question. I personally have listened to the farming community, farmers, ranchers, producers, processors right across the province. That's why we have taken a stand, taken a leadership role on various aspects of, for instance, being able to exclude the marked fuel for the carbon levy, as well as having a climate leadership plan for producers, specifically on intensive livestock operations, greenhouses, and other farming operations right across the province.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that natural gas is a huge part of the expense of producing fertilizer, and given that the carbon tax is going to almost double the cost of natural gas, so given that the price of fertilizer is going to take a huge jump, and given that grain producers don't get to set the price at which they sell their product, so they're just price takers, to the Minister, does this government just expect grain producers to eat this huge loss?
Sure. Minister of Environment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and of course we are in active engagement with many of our energy-intensive, trade-exposed industries right now, working out a set of output-based allocations that work for all industries, Mr. Speaker, including the fertilizer sector. I had the pleasure of meeting with them last week, Mr. Speaker, and we are examining ways that we can both set levels that encourage the best performance and the best in class across the continent, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we don't open our trade-exposed industries up to competition from areas where we don't see carbon pricing, such as the United States, Mr. Speaker, and finally, Mr. Speaker, ensuring we've got the right...
Honourable Minister. Second supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Also, given that the price of natural gas is going to jump, and given that beef producers have to heat huge shops to keep their feeding equipment in, and given this will create a loss for beef producers as well, to the Minister, has this government really done a thorough analysis of how this carbon tax is going to affect our second largest industry in Alberta, agriculture?
No. Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and for the member's question. Important to note that we have had the opportunity to listen and talk to producers from right across the province. That's why we've had the opportunity to hear them and implement different programs that are going to help them with their carbon levy. Farmers know that climate change is real, Mr. Speaker, and they're willing to do, not only they're willing and able to do their part and do so. We're proud that this government has taken plans, taken programs that will prioritize agriculture as we go forward in this climate future, Mr. Speaker.